Indian Stamp Act, Insurance Act, then IRDA Act, Indian Factories Act, Indian Boiler Act, Indian Mines Act. Now, if you see engineering insurance, we can divide broadly into two categories. One is project insurance, which is normally issued at the stage of construction of any plant or any industry or any building or any civil structure. Another category is the operational policies, where once it is erected, tested and commissioned, once it is put to use, then we issue normal operational policies. So operational policies are annual policies or less than annual, in the sense 12 months or less than 12 months. Whereas project insurance, the term extends to 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year based on the actual project period. So let us see what are the insurance policies available to cover the project risk. One is CIR, contractors old risk. Then EIR, erection old risk. In India, we call it as SCE, storage cum erection insurance. Then marine cum erection insurance, which is a combination of marine policy and erection policy. Then advanced loss of profit and delay in startup insurance. So these are the policies generally we give to cover the project risk. Coming to operational phase, once the machines are tested, commissioned, put to use any civil structure, then operational phase policies can be given, like machinery breakdown, we call it as MB or MBD, electronic equipment insurance, BPP, boiler pressure plant insurance, contractors plant and machinery, deterioration of stocks insurance. Similarly, a consequential loss policy is also available, machinery loss of profit insurance. Now let us start with the construction phase policy. See, during a construction phase, what are the operations carried out? Let us assume a thermal power plant which is getting constructed. So as far as the principal is concerned, he has to finalize a land, then clearing the site or cleaning the site to remove the obstacles or trees, leveling the ground, all these things. Then purchase of machinery. Machinery can be import or indigenous. Then construction of buildings. Then erection of machinery. Then testing and then commercial production. So roughly these are the steps involved if we want to start a thermal power plant. See, after the purchase of land, when he has to incur certain expenses for clearing of the site or cleaning of the site, these expenses are only one-time expenses. So please understand that what we are covering under insurance is the expenses which is likely to recur after a loss. Once there is a loss, if he has to incur expenditure for reinstatement of the loss, then those expenses to be part of the sum insured. If it is a one-time exercise, for example, leveling of the ground or cutting and removal of bush or trees. So these are one-time expenses or payment of some license fees. So these expenses need not be part of the sum insured. Now let us take an example of this thermal power plant. This drawing, if you remember, it is good. A line diagram of a thermal power plant starts with, let's say, alternator. A is the alternator which is connected to a turbine, which is T1, and then alternator is also connected to a transformer T2. Turbine gets the steam from a boiler, and then steam after expansion, it is going to the condenser. So it works like this. An equipment which used to convert water into steam is known as boiler with the help of external heating source. So boiler where water is getting heated and high pressure steam is generated. This high pressure steam is expanded inside a turbine to a low pressure steam. During that expansion, the rotor of the turbine rotates, and the steam after expansion, it passes through the condenser where it is again condensed back to water and it is coming back to the boiler. So when the rotor rotates in turbine. It rotates the shaft of the alternator. This shaft rotates in an electrical magnetic field. So voltage is generated, and this voltage is increased or stepped up with the help of a transformer, power transformer. Then it is supplied to grid. So this is how electricity is getting produced in a thermal power plant. The source of heat will be different. If it is if coal is used, then it's a coal power plant. If natural gas is used, then it will be gas power plant. So, so many types of fuels are getting used to heat water in boiler. This example why we are taking, because to explain the different terms in the tariff, and example of thermal power plant will be helpful. So policies recommended at this stage are erection all risk, or I told you in India it is known as storage cum erection policy, plus marine. Marine is required for uh, transit of plant and machinery into the project site. So EIR policy plus marine separate, or a combined policy, marine cum erection. This particular project which we discussed now, it's a thermal power plant. So it involves a lot of machines, erection of machines and testing. If the project is involving only civil work, then contractors all risk policy. Both policies are EIR and CIR all risk in nature. Normally contractors all risk policy is issued when civil work, the cost of civil work is more than 50% of the project cost. So the entire projects can be divided into two, where the civil work is more than 50%. It can be covered under CAR. Where civil work is less than 50%, it can be covered under EIR. But nowadays, a combination of both also used to come. In that case, you have to split into two and give separate policies. So EIR and CIR, a comparison, both are all risk in nature. So this all risk is different from all risk policy which we issue under miscellaneous portfolio, where you issue all risk policy to ornaments or valuables. In that policy, it mainly we cover the negligence. However, we do not cover any electrical or mechanical breakdowns. But here all risk means all risks are covered except the exclusions. So you can call it as listed exclusion policy also. In the event of a claim, the specialty is that it is the duty of the insurer to prove that the peril is coming under exclusions in the policy and it is not payable. If we are not able to prove that, then the claim becomes admissible. So both these policies, EIR and CIR, are all risk. Erection coverage is available in both the policies. However, testing coverage is there only in EIR. CAR policy, being a policy issued for civil work, testing coverage is not there. So if less than 50% machinery is involved, but testing is required, then you may have to issue a separate policy. And minimum policy period is 2 months for EIR, 3 months for CAR. 2 months is 1 month erection and 1 month testing. It does not mean that you cannot issue a policy less than 2 months or less than 3 months. You can issue, but the premium will be charged for a minimum period of 2 months in EIR, minimum period of 3 months in CAR. So when the policy starts, the policy should start from the date of arrival of first consignment at site or starting of any work related to the project at site. And the policy should continue till date of commercial production or date of handling over to principal. So if you remember that slide, so during the finalization of land, policy is not required. During the cleaning or clearing of the site, policy is not required. Once that machinery is purchased and once the transit is going to complete, it is going to reach the location where the plant is getting constructed, or at the time when a civil work starts at the project site, from that moment the policy should start. So date of arrival of first consignment at site or starting of any work related to the project at site. And EAR policy ends with date of commercial production or the date of expiry which is chosen by the insured. In car policy, it is date of handling over to principal. So what do you mean by this date of commercial production? If the project is a manufacturing industry, for example, producing yarn or producing sugar, a sugar industry is getting erected, a textile mill is getting erected. So in that case, the product will come out of the plant. So the moment the yarn comes out from the machine, and when it is subjected to all quality test, when it conforms to the quality standard set by the company, and it is ready for sales, then that moment is known as date of commercial production. That means products are ready for sale, invoicing. So once it is ready, then that date is declared as date of commercial production. From there, operational phase starts. Your EIR policy automatically ceases on the date of commercial production. Whether the date of commercial production is declared to the insurance company or not, as per records, if they have started producing and selling, then the EIR policy automatically stops. In a car policy, for example, construction of a road, once the road is constructed and the date of handing over to the principal, national highways or any other principal, once it is handed over to the principal, then the car policy automatically ceases. So EIR policy mainly concerned with erection of plant and machinery. Parties involved in a project are principal, engineering consultant, contractor, subcontractor, manufacturer, financier. So people who are having insurable interest like a principal or financier or a contractor or subcontractor can take the policy. See, these two policies, erection all risk and contractors all risk, it goes with the same philosophy. All the terms and conditions, except a few changes, the principles are same. In a similar fashion, all the operational policies like MBD, EEI, BPP, CPM, all these are having same phenomena. Like logics are same. Once you understand one policy, you can blindly follow for the other policy. See the CAR, it is concerned with civil work like dams, dwellings, roads, factories. Again, the parties involved in the project are principal, engineering consultant, contractor, subcontractor, manufacturer, financier. So a financier can take a policy, principal can take, or a contractor. He has signed a contract with the principal and he wants to take a policy, he can do it. As I discussed, erection all risk policy or contractors all risk policy is all risk, but just for understanding, all types of location risk like fire, theft, burglary, handling risk like impact, testing and commissioning risk, leakage of electricity, explosion, risk of human carelessness, strike, riot, fault in erection, storm, tempest like IOG perils, everything is covered. So here fault in erection is covered under EIR policy or car policy. During the project stage, if the employee can be a contractor employee, principal employee or subcontractor employee, if he is committing a mistake, a negligence, then if it is leading to an accident, then it is admissible under EIR policy or car policy. Suppose the negligence has not led into an accident, but the principal has to incur a lot of expenses for the correction, then insurance company will not indemnify. So we will step in only when there is a damage. Till then, in policy will not respond. So in an erection site, multiple negligence can happen, multiple corrections can happen, expenditure will be incurred, but policy will respond only if this fault in erection leading to an accident and a damage. Now, what should be the sum insured under EIR or car? Sum insured should be equal to total project cost. Project cost means cost of imported machines, cost of indigenous machines, customs duty, incidental expenses, erection cost, and if escalation is opted, then half of the escalation amount should be part of sum insured for premium calculation. Right. Escalation will be shown separately in the policy. Half of the escalated amount should be also added to the sum insured for premium calculation. And in a car policy, pre-operative expenses can be part of sum insured, but in a year policy, it never forming part of sum insured. So in car policy, some of the pre-operative expenses, like you want to construct a dam, you have to incur expenditure for construction of a road or a temporary shed. So these expenditure, you assume a flood, then again they will have to incur expenditure to construct these pre-operative expenses, like a road should be made ready, temporary shed should be there, or a coffer dam should be prepared. So though it is not part of the actual sum insured, these expenses need to be incurred again in the event of a damage. If these expenses are to be incurred again, then it can be part of the sum insured. Normally, it will be shown as a separate sum insured, but in a year policy like consultancy fees or license fees, these expenses are one-time expenses. So wherever one-time expenses are there, it need not be part of the sum insured. Now the sum insured is adjustable on completion of construction on the basis of actual values in respect of construction cost, freight, customs duties, and handling charges. Increase or decrease in prime cost of material not to be taken into account. So if you see the elements or part of the sum insureds, you can see some of them can be easily controlled by the insured. For example, cost of plant and machinery. That means capital items where he is having perfect control over the cost incurred. He can order in advance. So though the project is 3 years or 5 years, he can have a strict control of the expenditure. But there are certain expenditure where he depends on the third parties like customs duty, because customs duty will, it may even change during the policy period. It is controlled by government. Erection cost, where a lot of labor work is involved. So principal may not be able to what you call identify or calculate accurately what will be the erection cost, labor cost involved. So wherever insured is not having strict control, we are ready to give a refund. Wherever insured is having control over the expenses, we will not give a refund. So this sum insured, which is declared at the inception of the policy, that is project cost, it can be adjusted on the completion of the project based on the actual values in respect of construction cost, freight, customs duties, and handling charges, but not for the cost of machinery or cost of capital items. Since 64 VB is in place, normally we will give only a refund of the difference in project cost. We will not collect anything extra after the policy period. We will not be able to settle any claim more than the sum insured during the policy period. So there are add-on covers which we call in engineering as extensions. These are some of the important add-on covers. There are multiple add-on covers available nowadays, but I have mentioned only important add-on covers. For example, expediting cost, including express freight, air freight. You know what is air freight? So after a loss, if they have to airlift the machinery or a part, then the expenditure will be more. So air freight to be separately covered. What is covered under normal policy is only road freight or sea freight. Air freight is not covered. So he can take an extension. Then another term is express freight. For example, a lorry carrying 1,000 kg from one location to another location. Let's say material is taken from Mumbai to Chennai. So it can carry 1,000 kg and he is charging 1 rupee per kilogram. So the normal freight is 1 rupee per kilogram. Let us assume I have to just hold on 1 minute. So suppose I have to carry a part from Mumbai to Chennai, which is 100 kilogram weight. So normal freight means 100 rupees. If I want that part on an urgent basis and I request the transporter, you take only my part of 100 kilogram from Mumbai to Chennai, he will agree, but he will charge 1000 rupees. So because that vehicle can carry 1000 kilogram and he charges 1 rupee per kilogram. So he will take only my part 100 kilogram, but he will charge 1000 rupees. So the difference between 100 rupees to 1000 rupees is known as express freight. So which is not normally payable under the policy, but we can take an add-on. Similarly, when the project started, at that time the machine, when it was imported, the customs duty was only 10%. Now after 2 years, when the machine is damaged, I want to import it again from Germany. The government would have increased the duty on that particular machine. Then now the duty payable is 20%. So 20 minus 10 is known as additional customs duty. So this additional customs duty is also payable only if it is taken as an add-on cover. At the time of taking the policy, the customs duty should be part of the sum insured. So in the event of a claim, customs duty will be paid only in that proportion. Next is on its surrounding property. If the project is getting erected in already having a having an industry, and that site it is getting erected, that means this erection site is surrounded by many other plant and machinery owned by the same insured. In that case, if something happens to the project site, there is a very chance that the surrounding property also get damaged. So these perils emanating from the project site and damaging the surrounding property owned by the insured, if it is to be covered, then add-on cover to be taken on a surrounding property. Another one is CPM. This is contractors, plant and machinery, which are used for construction. It can be covered up to 5% of the project sum insured or 25 lakhs. So the limit is very low. It is better to take a separate CPM policy. Next cover, maintenance visit cover and extended maintenance cover. I will explain later. Earthquake, you are aware. Clearance and removal of debris, you are aware. Third party liability, you are aware. And then third party liability with the cross liability cover also can be given. That means in any project site, so many people will be handling the materials. Like a principal will be there, principal employees will be there, contractor will be there, contractors employees will be there, subcontractors will be there. So if third party liability with cross liability is taken, and if any action of contractors employees leading to a damage to subcontractors property or persons, or leading to a personal injury of the principal or principal employees or principal property, all these are treated as third parties as far as the contract is concerned, and vice versa. In like subcontractors negligence leading to contractors property damage or contractors personal injury. So otherwise, since all these people are involved in the project, they will not be treated as third party. So if cross liability is there, then all these parties will be treated as third parties uh, based on the type of based on the accident created by a contractor or subcontractor or principal. So a one person's negligence can lead to damages or personal injury to other persons who are involved in the project, which can be covered under this extension. Loss minimization expenses, you are aware. Professional fees, if after the damage, if some professional fees to be incurred, then that can be covered as an add-on cover. Offsite storage and fabrication, this normally in all the RFQs, people will ask for this cover. Within the project site, if the materials are stored, it is automatically covered. But if the materials are stored outside the location, this EAR policy and car policy is also a location specific policy. So if the materials are stored outside the location, then it is known as offsite storage. It is to be taken as a separate add-on cover, and the location address also to be mentioned in the policy. Escalation, I think you are aware, there's only difference in escalation between fire policy and engineering project policies are. In fire policy or in operation policy, escalation is limited to 25%, and escalation is applicable on pro rata basis from starting from day one. Full escalation is available only at day 365th day, the last day of the policy. But in the case of a project policy, escalation is available up to 50% of the sum insured. And once escalation is selected, on the next day of the policy, full escalation amount is applicable. For example, if the date of loss is on the second day, sum insured value at risk is compared with sum insured plus escalation of 50%. Now, there are some design defect cover, which I will explain later. Now, how we will do the rating? Tariff rates based on the type of contract work. So you can directly take it from the chart, residential building or factory, road or dams. And it also depends on the project period. Whereas in EAR, it depends on the type of plant or machinery getting erected, like DG set, TG set, compressors, paper mill or textile mill. Rate also depends on the erection period and testing period. So if you remember correctly, the policy will have an automatic period of 2 months, 1 month erection and 1 month testing. In erection policy or in car policy, refund of premium is allowed for early completion of the project. For example, at the time of taking the policy, I have taken a project period of 24 months, I have paid the premium, but my project got completed in 18 months. Then he is qualified for a refund. It is subject to period of insurance should be more than 18 months. That is the first condition. The original period of policy should be more than 18 months. Claims experience should be less than 60%. Claims experience means claims by premium. So here claims experience means claims by reworked premium for the revised project period. He would have paid a premium for 24 months. Now the project is getting completed in 18 months with some claims. So claims ratio will be calculated by claims by premium for 18 months. It should be less than 60%. And minimum period claim for claiming refund is 3 months. So once he has crossed 21 months, then there is no refund. These are the standard exclusion under EAR, war, like any other policy, nuclear reaction, willful negligence, cessation of work, total or partial without any damage. Then excess will not be paid, loss while taking inventory, normal wear and tear, faulty design, defective material, defective workmanship. And then packing material is also an exclusion. Whereas in CAR, again, general exclusions are same, but material damage exclusions are normal wear and tear, faulty design, loss discovered at time of inventory, files, drawings, checks, packing material, vehicle licensed for road use, penalties under contract, breakage of glass. If you see, the design defect exclusion is different for EAR. In EAR, it excludes faulty design, defective material and workmanship. Whereas in car policy, it excludes only faulty design. Breakage of glass is also an exclusion under car policy. So if you want to cover glass, then additional premium to be paid. It is like an add-on cover. Additional excess also will be applicable. Now, you know what is excess? Excess is applicable per incident. So as per the old tariff, and there are no other guidelines after that, two incidents will be treated as two separate incidents when there is a freedom from peril for 7 consecutive days. This is actually applicable only projects up to 100 crores. So if there is a flood today and if the flood continues for 2-3 days, then it is treated as only single incident. Today there is a flood, tomorrow no flood, and up to 7 days there is no flood, and the 8th day there is another flood. Then two incidents are treated as two separate incidents and two excess is applicable. So excess goes with the incident. Separate incident means separate excess. There is a term in car and EAR which is known as major peril. Major peril means AOG peril. You know what is AOG peril? Lightning, storm, cyclone, flood, rock slide, all these are AOG peril. AOG plus collapse plus wet risk. This constitutes major peril. So major peril is equal to AOG plus collapse of any building plus all wet risk. So there can be some question like how many excess are applicable in car and EAR. And in my opinion, in car policy, only two types. One is storage and construction claims, which is also known as normal perils. Second is major perils. So two excess are applicable in car. Whereas in EAR, there are four excess types. One is storage and erection claims, which is also known as normal perils. AOG, major perils. There is second one, fire and explosion. Third one, testing period claims. Fourth one. So there are four types of excess in EAR policy. This you can refer the tariff. Excess is different for storage risk, major perils, and fire unprotected sites with less than 50 crore sum insured, and then fire unprotected site with more than 550 crore sum insured. So those who want to refer the tariff and then remember those figures. Now, as far as EQ is concerned, there was a provision to give EQ on first loss basis. So if we select 20% of the sum insured as the loss limit, then there was a discount of 50%. And then if 10% of limit of sum insured is taken, then the discount is 40%. GIC has withdrawn this provision, so insurers are not issuing, but tariff provision is still there. No midterm cover is applicable for earthquake, and earthquake rates are applied on pro rata basis as per period of the policy. So, for example, earthquake rates are specified per year for 12 months. So, if the policy period is 2 years, then 2 times the rate to be applied. Now, third party liability we discussed as an extension of EAR and car policy. So for policies with the sum insured less than 10 crore, TPL sum insured is limited to 1 crore. More than 10 crore sum insured, it can be 10% of the completely erected value. %10% of the completely erected value or 10 crore, whichever is lower. For example, sum insured is 1000 crore. Then 10% is 100 crore, but only 10 crore we can give. And then this 10 crore as per tariff for more than 100 crore policies, it is increased to 25 crore. And TPL cover cannot be reinstated. TPL cover cannot be granted during extended maintenance period. This is also only for project sum insured less than 100 crore. So as per the original tariff, it was divided into two: less than 100 crore, one category of project and one category of add-on; more than 100 crore, another category of add-on. So this TPL cover cannot be reinstated and it cannot be granted during extended maintenance period if the sum insured is less than 100 crore. More than 100 crore, we can give. Now let's see the add-on covers. Express freight, holiday and overtime rates of wages, reinstatement of sum insured after occurrence of loss is possible. And air freight also, reinstatement of sum insured after the loss is possible. Additional excess is applicable for air freight. ACD, additional customs duty, reinstatement of sum insured after loss is not possible. Additional excess is 5% of ACD. These are all tariff provisions. Our practice is totally different nowadays. But for exam purpose, you may have to remember this. So ACD, reinstatement of sum insured is not allowed. Third party liability also, reinstatement of sum insured is not allowed after the loss. Now, what is meant by those add-on cover, maintenance visit cover and extended maintenance cover? So these two covers can be given only at the inception of the policy. Once the policy is started, this cover cannot be given. The first one, maintenance visit cover. This is a limited cover. It covers only one period. See, normally once a project is completed, testing and commissioning is over, then it is handed over to the principal. Even then, for 1 year or 2 years, it will be under the AMC. The contractor will be maintaining. He will be responsible to maintain the project. So all the time, the contractor's employees will be present at the project site. So they will be doing the normal maintenance work. So during that time, if the negligence of the contractor employees, if it creates some damage to the project material or the subject matter covered under the policy, then it is covered under maintenance visit cover. So during the maintenance period or annual maintenance contract period, where the contractor's employees are present at the project site, and if the negligence of the contractor's employees creates some damage to the project material, then it is payable under maintenance visit cover. So only this cover is there. That means during this period, no AOG is covered, no fire is covered, no breakdown is covered. Before that, this maintenance visit cover and extended maintenance visit cover, as I told you, this cover starts only after expiry of the project policy. So normally after expiry of the project policy, there will be operational cover. So even after project is completed, when the project policy expires, then the normally operational policy starts and then the AMC period starts. So contractor employees will be responsible to maintain the plant after the commissioning. So in that stage, in that period, if something happens to the plant due to the negligence of the contractor, it can be covered under this add-on cover. It does not mean that your entire plant and machinery is fully protected. No cover is there for fire, no cover is there for any other peril. Only this negligence of the contract is covered. That means during operational phase, though maintenance visit cover is taken along with project policy, insured has to take all types of operational policies, whether it is MBD, EEI, BPP, fire, burglary, all other operational policies to be taken. Otherwise, all those claims will not be payable. Now coming to the second add-on cover, extended maintenance. It covers maintenance visit cover. What is covered under maintenance visit cover? That is damage to the property by negligence of contractor's employees plus damage occurring during maintenance period, provided such loss or damage was caused during erection period. For example, you are calling a plumber for installing your water pump, centrifugal pump. So plumber has completed his work, he has erected, and then he has taken his money and gone. Now you start operating the pump, it will operate, it will pump water. Maybe after 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, what happened? The pump starts vibrating and it vibrates to such an extent, after some time it breaks that piping lines, pump is damaged, plumbing work is damaged, everything is damaged. Now the root cause analysis found out that there were 4 bolts to the pump set. It fixes to the foundation. Only 3 were tightened. So during the erection period, the employees who has done the erection, contractors employees or subcontractors employees, or even principal, he himself is doing erection. There was a negligence and there was an erection fault. The 4th bolt was not tightened, but the machine was commissioned with this defect unnoticed. So defect happened during the erection stage, but damage is happening during the production stage or the operational stage, or damage is manifesting at the operational stage. Whereas the root cause analysis is traceable to the erection period. Such losses are payable under extended maintenance. It is very difficult to prove such losses that this defect has happened during the erection period. So I don't think any insurer has paid any claim, but still this cover is there. And it is a mandatory cover for all government projects. So if you remember the slide correctly, we were telling the project policies, EAR or CAR, it should start from the date of arrival of first consignment or starting of any work related to the project, and it will end automatically on the date of commercial production. And I told you to find out commercial production date, it is very easy if the products are coming out. Physical products are coming out. When the products are conforming to the quality standards, when the principal decides that, okay, I can sell those products, the moment he raises the sales invoice, that means the commercial production started. Whereas in the case of a thermal power plant, the product is electricity. So it is not possible to find out a certain date where electricity is sold on commercial terms, because the moment you start testing, it will start generating electricity. The moment you heat water in boiler and supply steam to the turbine, go back to that old drawing, where turbine will start rotating, then that moment alternator will start generating voltage. So it is not very easy to find out when the commercial production date happened. That means it is very difficult to define the end of the policy period. So in an erection policy, as I told you, that entire period is divided into 2. One is erection stage, another one is testing stage or testing period. When you take the policy, automatically you will be given a coverage of 1 month erection plus 1 month testing. If the insured wants more months, let us say 11 months erection plus 1 month testing, then we charge premium accordingly. Sometimes he may require 11 months erection plus 2 months testing, or plus 3 months testing, or 6 months testing. So based on the testing period, the premium will vary. Before going to the test run definition of thermal power plant, if you have any questions, you can ask. Any questions?
Could you just repeat that excess for car and EAR, sir? What is the difference?
What is an excess?
Excess.
As I told you, car there is only 2 excess. EAR,
Normal.
there are 4 excess.
Sir, what is the sum insured? You have mentioned that it is the project cost. So is it the award value, contract award value?
Yeah, yes. It
Sir,
is the award value.
Sir, but award value also contains the profit margin. So in the sum insured, we are taking account into that also?
It need not be taken into account. If he wants, he can declare separately, but nobody will do that. So normally the entire project value will be taken as the sum insured. In the event of a claim, surveyor will deduct a small profit margin. In most of the cases, profit margin can be even negative. In Indian situation, most of the contracts are awarded for a lesser price than the actual value.
Okay,
into
sir.
various reasons involved. So we need not go into deep into that. But for exam, it is your contract value only. And practically, when the claim is settled, normally a small percentage is deducted as profit element of the contractor.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So shall we?
Sir,
shall we
good,
move forward?
sir, good morning, sir. Sir, third party liability is given under section 2, sir, and it is also given as an extension, sir. Whether it is a basic or sir, it is taken as an extension, sir.
Just hold on 1 minute. So TP liability section 2 is an add-on cover. It is not, it is an optional cover. It is not compulsory.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we will move on. So as I told you, when a product is coming out, then it is very easy to find out the date of commercial production. Then we can define, yes, policy has completed the cycle, policy is policy ended, and then he has to go for operation policy. Why we are so specific on this particular date is that in the event of a claim, after completion of a project or just after starting the operational policy, if there is a claim reported, then the first thing surveyor has to see whether it is under project stage or it is under the operation stage. If it is under operation stage, whether operational policies are taken. In earlier uh, period, when the premium was calculated based on tariff and all, the premium payable for project phase was much lesser than the premium payable for operational phase. Because in project phase, we are covering all risk. Everything is covered. Once it is turned into an operational phase, insured has to go for fire policy, electronic equipment or MBD, burglary, all those policies separately to be taken. So the project policy was much cheaper. So there was a tendency for the insured to extend the project policy as far as possible. So that is another reason we are defining that once you start your production, then the project policy ends there. So that advantage of premium he cannot take into for the operational period or operational stage. So this becomes more difficult, that particular point of differentiation between operational phase and project phase, it becomes more difficult in power plants. So how it is addressed in the tariff? So as I told you, in EAR policy, that entire period is divided into two: erection period and testing period. And when the testing period starts in a thermal power plant, so that is the question. So date of synchronization of TG set with the grid system, provided date of synchronization is within 72 hours from the date of introduction of steam. So go back to that picture. Yeah. So when the heat is given to the water in boiler, it is converted to steam. It is given to the turbine where it is expanded. Turbine rotor rotates, and then it is connected to the alternator shaft where it rotates and generate electricity. So at the moment, like when it starts, this electricity what is generated may not be conforming to the standards of the grid. In India, the grid supply is, as you know, it is 50 hertz cycle per second, 50 hertz. And normally the supply grid will be 440 volt or 33 kilowatt or 11 kilowatt, like that. So this electricity which is getting generated to be synchronized with the grid. That means please understand that there is a specification for the grid supply, and the electricity which we are generating, it should match with that specification. So that process is known as synchronization. So it requires some time to synchronize this alternator with the grid. Once it is synchronized, then it can supply to the grid. Even otherwise supply will happen, but the invoicing will happen only the moment it gets synchronized. Invoicing means selling of the product. So coming back to our definition. So the definition says starting of testing period is defined as date of synchronization of turbo generator set with the grid system, provided date of synchronization is within 72 hours from the date of introduction of steam. So in a thermal power plant, all these dates are important. In the event of a claim, surveyor has to see the what you call that their system software or DC systems where all these things are recorded automatically. So, or if it is manual system, he has to see the register. So then these dates are important. When the steam was introduced into turbine, that is known as date of introduction of steam. If date of synchronization of turbo generator set with the grid, that will be known by the specification of electrical energy which is generated in the alternator. So if it is within 72 hours of introduction of steam, then that point, date of synchronization, is the starting point of testing period. If that is not done, sometimes even after 72 hours, due to various issues, synchronization would not have happened. Then we have to go back to the date of introduction of steam into the turbine. So the starting point depends on two factors. One is date of introduction of steam or date of synchronization of grid, TG with the grid. If date of synchronization is within 72 hours of date of introduction of steam, then date of synchronization is the starting point. Else, date of introduction of steam is the starting point of testing period. Now, when it will end? The testing period will end when TG set is operated at full load for a continuous period of 72 hours or date of expiry of testing period in the policy, whichever is earlier. So for example, a TG set, a thermal power plant of 100 megawatt. If that plant is operated at 100 megawatt at full load for a that is full load at continuous period of 72 hours, then that moment testing ends. So as I told you that erection premium is considerably less. So normally the principal will try to extend this testing period. He will run the plant at 100 megawatt for 70 hours, then reduce the load to 90 megawatt. So it will go back to the again normal stage. Then again gradually the load will be increased. When it becomes again 71, again the load will be reduced. Once it reaches that full load and if it operates at continuously 72 hours, that moment it will be declared as date of commercial production. Nowadays it is not that much important because premium itself is depending on various other factors, discounts and all. But earlier we have observed the tendency of all insured to keep his plant under testing for maximum period is as possible. Maybe he may be selling. As I told you, it is not possible to store electrical energy. So the moment alternator is connected to grid, some energy will be supplied to grid and the billing starts from the date of synchronization. So you cannot decide on date of commercial production based on the sales invoice. Here, the only method is you have to define the starting point, you have to define the ending point. So starting point we have already defined. Ending point is when the TG set is operated at full load for a continuous period of 72 hours, then testing period is over. Or date of expiry. Date of expiry, maximum testing period allowed in the policy is 6 months for thermal power plants. For all other projects, it is 12 months. I hope it is clear. Now, with regard to claims, claim to be reported within 14 days. Insured may carry out repairs or replacement of any minor damage up to 7,500. So very old tariff provisions. Cancellation of policy at the request of the insured is subject to the following condition. A policy can be cancelled Claims experience as on date of cancellation should be less than 60% of reworked premium. So again, the 60% is on reworked premium, not on the inception premium. Unexpired period is not less than 3 months. So the cancellation and refund is applicable if unexpired period is more than 3 months or 25% of the policy period, whichever is less. So unexpired period should be 3 months or 25% of the total policy period, whichever is less. Testing period should not have commenced. So once the testing period starts, then there is no question of any cancellation of the policy. So the premium adjustment I have already discussed. Premium adjustment after expiry of the policy is possible for freight, CD, handling charges, cost of erection. Why? Because insured is not having control over these expenses. Whereas wherever insured is having control, like prime cost of plant and machinery, it is not possible to have premium adjustment. Escalation premium once collected will not be refunded. So if you remember correctly, half of the escalation sum value to be added to the sum insured for calculation of premium. Once premium is collected, we will not give a refund. So erection policy, either EAR or CAR, follow the same philosophy. Then it can be 3 months, 6 months. It starts from CAR means it starts from 3 months. Erection policy starts from 2 months. It can go up to multiple years. There is no end. You can issue the policy for any number of years. So if that is the case, it is difficult for the insured to pay the premium full in advance. So there is an installment facility given in EAR and CAR policy. The conditions are period of the project should be more than 12 months. And then first installment should be 5% more compared to the other installments. Let us say first installment is I1. It should be more than I2, I3, IN by 5% of the premium. Minimum interval between installment is 3 months. That means interval can be 4 months, 5 months or 6 months, but cannot be 2 months. Minimum interval is 3 months. Last installment, just 1 minute. Okay, last installment shall be collected 6 months before expiry of the policy. So these are the conditions. Period should be more than 12 months. First installment should be 5% more than the other installment. Minimum interval is 3 months. Last installment shall be collected 6 months before expiry of the policy. Either you remember this condition or remember this formula. How to calculate number of installments in a policy? N, number of installment N is equal to T, which is the period of the policy, total period, minus 6 divided by 3 plus 1. For example, the project period is 13 months, which is more than 12 months. So 13 minus 6 is 7. 7 by 3 is 2 point something. Plus 1 is the next rounding of the figure. So it is 3 installment. First installment will be taken at inception, then 3 months, second, 6 months, third. So balance further 6 months is there. Last installment shall be collected 6 months before expiry of the policy. So either you can remember this condition or the formula T minus 6 by 3 plus 1 is for only rounding off. Now how to calculate the first installment? Let's say the total premium is P. First installment will be P into 0.5. That means 5% of total premium. You have to park it. 5% of the total premium plus P into 0.95 by N. 0.95 means that 95% of the premium divided by number of installments. So let us say 10 installments, 95% of the premium divided by 10 plus 5% of the premium will give you the first installment. All other installments are 95% of the premium divided by number of installments. Any doubt? Or we will move on. Any doubt?
This is for both EAR and CR policy, sir.
Hmm.
Can you once again explain this installment premium, sir?
Installment, either you remember this condition, or if you can remember the formula also, it is good to calculate. Only 3 conditions or 4 conditions are there. One period should be more than 12 months. That is first one. Minimum interval between installment is 3 months. So that means it can be 4 months, 5 months, 6 months at the option of the insured. But it cannot be 2 months. Last installment for the policy should be collected 6 months before expiry of the policy. Then if total premium is 100 rupees and there are 3 installments, all other installment will be 95 by 3. First installment will be 5 plus 95 by 3. That means that 5% more than other installments.
Okay, thank you.
Right? We will move on to, if you remember correctly.
Hello,
Ah,
No, sir. So there is one query, sir. Yeah,
Yeah.
regarding TPL limit, if sum insured is project sum insured is more than 100 CR, can we give 25 crores limit, or it will be restricted to 10 CR only?
no, 25 crore. 10 crore was
25
original
crore.
tariff provision, then it was revised.
Okay. And for this cross liability cover, there are some exclusion for this cross liability cover.
Just one
There are
minute.
some exclusions under this cover. Yeah.
Hello. You repeat the question.
Under
Can you-
cross liability cover, is there are some exclusions under cross liability cover? TPL cross liability cover. Exclusion, just maybe cross liability.
I'm not able
For
to
in-
hear.
I think
Madam, I'm not able to hear you.
for
Your voice is breaking actually.
for cross liability, are there any exclusions? Hello. Hello.
You are talking about cross liability cover.
Yeah, exclusions under cross liability cover.
Exclusions under cross liability.
Yeah, right.
See, standard liability exclusions will be there. The cross liability, by adding cross liability, what you are doing, you are making the principal as third party to the contractor.
Right.
You are making the contractor
So the
as the
standard
third party of principal,
Hmm?
or contractor becomes third party of subcontractors. Though these people are involved in the project,
Okay.
see, normally a third party is the person who
Hmm.
is not involved in the project at all. An outside person entering into the project site, an authority entering into the project site for inspection. These are all third parties. But when you add cross liability,
Hmm.
principal himself becomes a third party to the contractor.
Okay, so got it, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir. Got it.
So we will move on to design defect cover. If you remember correctly, the exclusions which we were talking, in a car policy, the exclusion is faulty design, whereas in AR policy, it is faulty design, defective material and defective workmanship. So there can be questions for 4 to 5 and all. Otherwise, normally lower cadre, they do not ask questions on design defect. So let us try to understand. See, car policy says like this. This is the actual exclusion. Loss or damage due to faulty design. The cost of replacement, repair or rectification of defective material and or workmanship. But this exclusion shall be limited to the items immediately affected and shall not be deemed to exclude a loss of or damage to correctly executed items resulting from an accident due to such defective material and workmanship. In ER policy, It reads like this: loss or damage due to faulty design, defective material or casting, bad workmanship other than faults in erection. This exclusion shall be limited to the items immediately affected and shall not be deemed to exclude loss or damage to other insured items resulting from such excluded perils. So with only reading these paragraphs, it is very difficult to understand what is the exclusion and what is the coverage. So let us go slightly deeper into it. A design defect, generally the term design defect indicates three elements. One is defective material, defective workmanship, and defective design. So starting with the defective design, a project is getting designed by an engineer or a professional. So defect in design happens at the engineer's desk, engineer's table. His calculation is going wrong. He would have taken a traffic of 100 people at any point of time on a bridge, but on practical purpose, 150 people are entering onto the bridge. So that is a design defect. He has not taken into account the practical situations while designing the project. So defective design happens at the engineer's desk. Right. Now, defective material is the material itself is defective, which is used for the project. Defective workmanship, it happens at the manufacturer's premises. For example, if turbine is purchased and used in a thermal power plant project, so during the assembly of the turbine in Germany or in manufacturer's premises, some defective workmanship, negligence of the employee who has assembled the turbine would have happened. So that is known as defective workmanship. Normally, during project site, the employee's negligence, either principal employee, contractor or subcontractor employee, it cannot be termed as a defective workmanship. It will be payable if it is leading to a damage. I already explained. But defective workmanship here refers to the defective workmanship at the manufacturer's premises or the fabricator's premises. Normally, defective workmanship at site is always covered. A welding not properly done at the work site, at the project site, and then it collapses. It covers under EAR policy or CAR policy. But there is another thing. Normally, when a project is getting executed, there will be a work time schedule. That means, let us say there are 5 operations: O1, O2, O3, O4, O5. Definitely O5 should be carried out after O4. O4 should be carried out after O3. There will be a sequence of operations. Sometimes if the contractor or the principal decides to avoid one sequence, let us say O2 is not conducted, directly is jumping to O3 from O1. That means he is altering the sequence which is there in the design. So that is creating a loss. Then it becomes not payable because that is not a defective workmanship. It is a deliberate attempt to deviate from the guideline. Other than that, all other negligence and the damages at the project site is covered. So please understand that when we are talking about design defect, it is having 3 components: defective design, which happens at the engineer's desk; defective workmanship, which happens at the manufacturer's site; defective material, where the material used for the project is defective. And with this, let us analyze what is the coverage under EAR. See, normally design defect exclusions internationally, they follow the practice of adding the wording of DE1, DE2, DE3, DE4 and DE5. In our policies, these wordings are not specified as DE1, DE2, DE3, but we have to interpret. So let us understand what is DE1 wording, DE2, DE3, DE4 and DE5 wording with the help of this diagram. The same diagram where the boiler is there, your turbine is there, turbine rotor is there, it rotates, and the alternator is there where the shaft is rotating. The same diagram. Here, let us assume that rotor, which is a part of the turbine, rotor, the blade of the turbine is defective. There is a design defect. So it can be a defect in material, a defect in design, or defect in workmanship of the rotor of the turbine. And then during running, it explodes. and then the turbine rotor damages. It is damaging the turbine. It is damaging the alternator. It is damaging the boiler also. So here boiler, if you see, it is not directly connected to the turbine except for the pipelines. Whereas an alternator, which is directly connected to the turbine, it is getting the driving force from the turbine only. So here we define these properties like boiler, which is not connected to the turbine, as a surrounding property. The property where the defective part is located, that is the turbine. Property where defective part is located. Defective part is rotor, that is turbine. A property which is connected to the property where defective part is located, that is alternator. A property which is independent, which is not at all connected to any of these properties, it is boiler. Now, if EAR or any policy, when we issue, we attach DE1 wording, then that wording says, so the scenario is rotor is defective and it explodes, causing damage to itself, causing damage to turbine, causing damage to alternator and boiler. Now, if the DE1 wording is attached with the policy issued, then nothing is payable. Everything is rejected. If DE2 wording is attached, then only surrounding property is payable. That means the property where defective part is located is not payable. The property which is connected to the property where defective part is located is also not payable. Whereas DE3 wording, if it is attached, then surrounding property and the connected property is also payable. If DE4 wording is attached, then surrounding property, connected machine, and the property where defective part is located is also payable. If DE5 wording attached, everything is payable except the rectification charge of the defective part. So the surrounding property is payable, connected property is payable, the property where defective part is located is payable, but the defective part is also payable, but redesign charges of the defective part is not payable. So this is how the differentiation between these wordings. So now our EAR policy, with the wording available, it automatically covers DE3, whereas DE4 and DE5 are additional covers. Also, please understand that in EAR policy, there is no differentiation between these three components: defective material, defective workmanship, defective design. All are treated alike, and we call it as design defect. So design defect in EAR policy, it covers up to DE3, whereas DE4 and DE5 are additional covers, which is available internationally, but in India, we give normally only DE4. So now if you read that wording of EAR, loss or damage due to faulty design, defective material, casting or bad workmanship. You see, there is no differentiation. All are alike: design, material, and bad workmanship, other than false in erection. So they repeat here, false in erection is covered. This exclusion shall be limited to the items immediately affected and shall not be deemed to exclude loss or damage to other insured items resulting from such excluded periods. So it excludes only the item which is immediately affected. So here the property which is immediately affected is the turbine. So that is not payable. Rotor, of course, is not payable. Other items are payable. So that is why the coverage automatically it is DE3. Now sometimes during the project phase, they identify that rotor is defective, but there is no damage. But to change the rotor, they have to incur the expenses. They have to access the rotor. First, they have to dismantle the turbine. They have to change the rotor. Since there is no damage, we will not pay any claim. So in insurance, that is a cardinal principle. We will wait for a damage. Till then, no claim is admissible. So defect is identified. They have rectified the defect. Rectification charges are not payable. The access cost to access the parts, it is not payable. But if there is a damage, then all this access cost and all becomes payable. Now, let us assume a civil construction project where a defective part, a steel rod is there. This is only hypothetical example. Practical, it is very, very difficult to identify. So let us assume a steel rod, which is a defective part. It is inside a column, RCC column. There are multiple columns and a roof is supported by this column. There is a marble floor, costly floor, which is totally independent. It is not supporting either on the column or on the roof. Now what will happen if the policy is having DE1 cover? DE1 cover means nothing is payable. DE2 cover means only the surrounding property or the floor is payable. DE3 means floor and roof, the property which is getting its support from the property where the defective part is located. That is also becomes payable. DE4 means floor, roof and supporting columns are payable. Whereas DE5 means floor, roof, supporting column and cost of defective part, that is steel rod, that is also payable, but redesign charges of the defective part is not payable. So this is how it is in a similar pattern. It is easy to understand once you remember the drawing and write this DE1, DE2, DE3, DE4, DE5. Now, basic car policy provides the equivalent of DE1 with respect to faulty design. That means in car policy, these three elements are treated separately. Faulty design or design fault is defective design is treated separately and nothing is covered in car policy. Whereas the defective material and defective workmanship is automatically covered up to DE4. That is why the wording is like this. In car policy, loss or damage due to faulty design, that is totally excluded in car policy. Whereas cost of replacement or repair or rectification of defective material and or workmanship. Here material and workmanship is joined together, treated as second element. This exclusion but limited to the items immediately affected and shall not be deemed to exclude loss or damage to correctly executed items. In car policy, there is a slight difference. Correctly executed items means only the rod becomes not payable. A column is correctly executed, other columns are correctly executed, roof is correctly executed, floor is correctly executed. So, in car policy, faulty design is DE1, nothing is covered. Defective material and workmanship up to DE4 coverage is there. So, why it is so? Because any civil project, there is every chance of a design defect, faulty design can happen. It is not very easy to conceive all the practical aspects while designing a civil project. So probability of faulty design is very high. Wherever probability of loss is high, we will include it under exclusion. So this is an exclusion. Whereas in civil project, the material used and the workmanship are standard. For example, Tata steel rod is used, or what do you call that? ACC cement is used. So these materials are standardized material. So there is no chance of any defective material. And workmanship also, in car policy, everything is casted, everything is fabricated at site. Nothing is purchased outside. So probability of damage due to defective material and workmanship is very less. So we give free cover up to DE4. Now let's just compare this coverage available under EAR and car and what are the add-ons available. Add-ons available in India, what we are giving is in red color. In black color, which we are not giving under add-on cover. So faulty design in EAR, faulty design, defective material, defective workmanship, everything coverage up to DE3. Whereas in car policy, faulty design is totally excluded. Coverage is DE1. So what are the add-on covers available? What are the design defect add-on covers available under car policy? The answer is DE2 and DE3 because it refers to the faulty design. Whereas what is the add-on cover available under EAR policy? It is DE4. DE3 can be extended up to DE4. Defective material and workmanship, the coverage under car EAR is DE3, which can be extended to DE4. Whereas automatic coverage is available for car in DE4, it cannot be extended to DE5 in India. Coverage is available, but normally we are not giving. So if the question is, what are the design defect add-on cover available under EAR? The answer is DE4. It is available for three elements: defective design, material, and workmanship. What are the add-on covers available under car policy? is DE2 and DE3. Two add-ons cover, it is for faulty design. So this is how, for exam purpose, it is interpreted. Practically, when a claim comes, it is very difficult to interpret what is the item, what is the property, depending on other property, how the forces are acting, where it can withstand, or it is an independently erected property, or it depends on its stability on other property. All these things are very, very difficult to analyze. Now, basis of loss settlement, all these terms and conditions are similar in EIR and CAR. Normally, as we told you, that sum insured should be the total project cost. So if there is a damage, if it can be repaired, we have to pay the full repair charges, less any salvage. In the case of total loss, actual value of the items immediately before the occurrence of the loss, less salvage. That means, strictly speaking, in the event of total loss, it is market value settlement. That means actual value of the items immediately before the occurrence of the loss, less salvage. But however, in a project policy, for example, a transformer is getting erected and transformer is fully burnt, then it is a total loss. He has to purchase a new transformer. So in that case, we have to pay in full only, because depreciation cannot be applicable since the transformer is not put into use at all. So in both cases, practically we have to pay in full. There is no depreciation. However, only to the extent the cost claimed has to be borne by the insured, and to the extent they are included in the sum insured, and provided always that the provisions and conditions have been complied with. So it is basically what we see, to what extent it is included in the sum insured. For example, a road construction. Let us say 5-kilometer road, sum insured is 100 crore. And if there is a damage to 2 kilometer, maximum payable is. So 5-kilometer road, 100 crore means per kilometer it is 20 crore. So 2-kilometer road is damaged, maximum payable is 20 plus 20. In a similar fashion, the different components of the project will be there in the terms and conditions of the project, or BOQ, bill of quantities, bill of materials, where the each work will be specified. So we will pay based on the BOQ. If any increase in cost is required, then if escalation is provided to that extent, we will pay the claim. For example, a bill of quantity, it says transformer value is 10 crore and transformer is damaged. And then at the time of reinstatement, they have incurred 12 crore. So they submitted an invoice, they replaced the transformer for 12 crore. So 12 crore is payable, provided 20% escalation is taken in the policy. The next policy, marine come erection, is nothing but a combination of marine policy and then erection policy. It connected with the transit, erection, and testing of plant and machinery. Balance all same. Policy period starts when the equipment leaves the manufacturing warehouse. So all the transits of the plant and machinery is also covered automatically under this policy till the commissioning. Balance all terms and conditions are same. Now there is a consequential loss insurance which is known as advance loss of profit, ALOP. Under project phase, we normally issue. It covers financial consequence of a project being delayed due to accidental damage to the project material during erection or testing stage. It follows in principle the characteristics of an annual consequential loss policy, but is issued in advance of the annual commencement of the business, since it is a compulsion from the finance of the project. So sum insured is equal to anticipated GP for the indemnity period selected. So normally after execution of the project, once it is commissioned, the principal is expecting commercial production and a gross profit. He will try to earn a gross profit from that. If that project is getting delayed due to any peril and damage at the project site, which is payable under EIR policy or CAR policy, then that delay and loss of GP is admissible under advance loss of profit. So who can take insurance? Who is having insurable interest on the profit of the project? That is only the owner of the project, principal of the project, or the financier of the project. And delay in project normally happens due to various reasons. There can be strike of employee, government prohibition, delay in what do you call getting the permits or sanctions, all these delays are excluded. What we are worried about, delay due to any physical loss or damage admissible under the material damage policy, car policy or EAR policy. So in allow policy, there can be multiple damages which are admissible under car policy, but there can be only one delay. It can be computed to 6 months or 12 months delay, and then one loss of GP. So there is only one claim under allow policy. There cannot be multiple claim. There can be multiple causes, but the claim is clubbed into one claim. The surveyor has to segregate insured delay and uninsured delay and calculate the proportional GP loss for the insured delay. So as I told you, in any project phase, there can be multiple delays. So surveyor has to segregate what is insured delay and uninsured delay. Because of that delay, how much GP he has lost. That GP lost surveyor will loss surveyor will calculate, and we will have to pay that as a claim. So we will break for 5 to 10 minutes. We will be back by 11:40. Is it all right?
Yes,
Before
sir.
going to the
Okay.
operational phase. Huh?
Okay.
We will be back by 11:40.
Okay, sir.
Shall we restart?
Yes, sir.
If you have any questions till now, you can ask. Otherwise, we will move on to operational phase. So project phase is over. Any questions? Shall we move on?
Yes, sir.
So we'll move on to operational phase. There are multiple policies in operational phase, which we have seen: machinery breakdown, electronic equipment, CPM, boiler pressure plant, and deterioration of stock. So let us see one by one. First one is machinery breakdown insurance. We call it as MBD or MI. Machinery breakdown policy covers all types of machines except electronic equipment. In fact, machines can be divided into electrical machine or mechanical machine. Nowadays, mechanical machines are not there. All machines are operated with the help of electricity. Earlier, machines were there which used to get operated with electricity, steam or water. So now such machines are not there. Everything, almost 100% machines are operated with the electric supply. So there are some machinery, or we call it as equipment, which is operated by electricity, but we cover it under electronic equipment insurance. Normally, if a machine operates at the supply voltage, then it is termed as an electrical machinery. For example, a pump, a motor, turbine, alternator, transformer. So these are all machines, or in our home, washing machine or a mixie. So these are all equipments which is operated at the supply voltage of 230 volt or 440 volt. But there are equipments which operate at a much lower voltage compared to the supply voltage. For example, a computer, which is operated at a voltage of 5 volt or 12 volt, or our television set, or any other electronic equipments like your X-ray, biomedical equipments. So these are all examples of electronic equipments. Some machines you can see both, like mechanical items are there or electronic items are there. For example, automatic washing machine or a Xerox machine, where electronic components, large value components are there, and mechanical rotating equipments are also there, or parts are also there. So in that case, we can leave it to the insured. He can either choose MBD policy or he can choose electronic equipment insurance. But MBD policy is a limited perils policy. It covers only accidental physical damage to the machinery due to any breakdown, any malfunction. Whereas electronic equipment insurance is an all risk policy which covers everything: electrical, electronic breakdown, fire, burglary, everything is covered under electronic equipment insurance. So you can give the option to the insured if there is a dispute, whether it is an electrical machine or an electronic equipment. So these are some of the examples of machinery. Scope of cover is unforeseen accidental breakdown or physical damage, such as electrical short circuit, entry of foreign material, negligence, lubrication failure, insulation failure, metallurgical failure. Insured items are covered after successful completion of their performance acceptance test. So once the commercial operations date is declared, then the project phase ends and operational phase starts. So during operational phase, once that equipments are tested after successful completion of their performance test, then it is treated under operational policy. So their machinery breakdown cover can be given. The cover is active while it is at work or at rest, or while being dismantled for cleaning or overhauling, or during cleaning or overhauling, during subsequent erection reassembly, while being shifted within the insured premises. So as long as the machine is within the premises, whether it is at work or at rest or any maintenance activity is going on, this machinery is covered under MBD policy. If it is taken out of the premises, the coverage automatically ceases. So only one peril is covered: unforeseen, accidental breakdown or physical damage. So exclusions are fire and allied perils, including explosion of any kind, other than bursting or disruption of turbine, compressors, cylinders of steam engines, hydraulic cylinders or flywheels or other apparatus subject to centrifugal force. So if you remember during the class when I was explaining the coverage perils under SFSP, we stress upon this point. Explosion is a peril covered under fire policy except damage to boiler and centrifugal explosion. So when a rotating equipment explodes due to centrifugal force, it is covered under MBD policy. It is an exclusion under fire. So all other type of explosions are excluded under MBD policy. Then the normal war group atomic energy overloading experiments, gradually developing defect, gradually developing flaws, defect, crack or partial fractures in any part, not necessitating immediate stoppage. Although at some future time, repair or renewal of the parts affected may be necessary. So policy will not act unless otherwise there is a damage. So if the parts are replaced, anticipating a defect, anticipating a damage to other parts, then that part is not payable under the policy, though there is a slowly developing flaw or defect or crack. But it does not mean that the entire claims becomes non-admissible. If there is a gradually developing defect in a bearing and the bearing fails and it lead to further damages to the equipment, all the other damages are payable. Only that gradually developed flaw or crack or partial fracture, that equipment, that part alone we will exclude. So normal wear and tear is excluded in the sense that allowance we have to give. For example, if it is a chain drive has to be replaced after some point of time. So that wear and tear we have to account in for the claim settlement. And willful negligence or willful act, liability assumed by insured by agreement. For example, if it is already under an agreement that if there is a damage during the first year of operation, the manufacturer will replace it. Or it is under warranty, then it is not covered. Defect existing at the time of insurance and not to insured. So if the defect is there already at the time of insurance and it is known to the insured, then it is not covered. Otherwise, all design defect covered are included in the policy. So you cannot reject any MPD claim stating that it's a design defect. All types of boiler explosions, including pressure explosion, chemicals, spilled water, and flue gas explosion. All these explosions are excluded under machinery breakdown. What type of explosion is covered under machinery breakdown is centrifugal explosion. We will see in detail what these type of explosions are. It is coming under BPP. Then there are certain parts which are highly wear and tear item: belt, rope, chain, rubber tire, mold, blade, cutter, knives or exchangeable tool, engraved or impression cylinders or rolls, object made of glass, porcelain, ceramics, all operating media, lubricating oil, fuel, catalyst, refrigerant. All these are excluded. Packing material, part not made of metal, non-metallic lining. All these parts are excluded under MPD. Loss or damage for which the manufacturer or supplier or repair of the property is responsible either by law or by contract. So if warranty is there, then we cannot pay the claim under MPD policy. Of course, excess is there. Excess and all you refer to the tariff. Now, what should be the sum insured? All these engineering operational policies are on CNRV basis, current new replacement value. Sum insured should be current new replacement value, except DOS. DOS we cover the commodity or stock, so it should be on market value. Any increase or decrease of sum insured on short period scale. And premium rating depends on the type of machinery, whether it is electrical machinery, mechanical equipment, or cold storage. So it depends on the type of machine. Premium will be varying. So all these terms, conditions are similar for all operational policies. It will repeat in slides. There are certain conditions peculiar to MBD. It is not possible to cover only a part of machine. If you want to cover a turbine, the entire turbine to be covered, you cannot cover only blades of the turbine. So part of the machinery you cannot cover. Similarly, a gearbox, if you want to cover, it should be covered either with the driver system or the driven system. Gearbox in isolation, we should not issue a policy. So similarly, you cannot split the machine into different parts and then give a cover. This normally insured will do to save the excess, because in MBD policy, excess go as a percentage of the sum insured, 1% or 0.5% of the sum insured. But in the case of a turbo generator set, TG set, there the split up, you can have a split up, but up to turbine, alternator, gearbox, control panel, and cable. Further split up of machines is not allowed under the tariff. There are certain discounts available. A standby discount. For example, there are two machines, only one machine is in use, other machines on standby, then 50% discount can be given. But this discount is not applicable for DG set. Similarly, standstill discount. Because some machines which are not working for quite a long period. For example, a sugar plant, it's a seasonal factory. So during the off season, most of the machines will be switched off. So this is standstill. So these standstill discounts can be given up to 50%. There was another discount known as seasonal discount that is withdrawn by the Tariff Advisory Committee. So if a machine is standstill for quite a long period, minimum period is 3 months, they can claim a refund. And discount for spares. For example, they are keeping some spare for rotors of generator or compressor or turbine or windings of transformer. If the insured is keeping spare and he has taken a policy for that spare also, then that spares eligible for 50% discount. If the machines are standstill for lockout by employees, then the discount is nil. Now, how the claim will be settled under MBD policy? We have seen what is sum insured, what is coverage, and what are the exclusions, and then discounts. Now, this claim settlement process or basis of claim settlement is similar in all operational policies. In engineering, all operational policy follow the same pattern. So if you understand one policy, the same thing you can repeat in all policies. So basis of indemnity under MBD policy for partial loss, expenses incurred to restore the damaged machine to its former state, no depreciation for repairs except for limited life parts. For total loss, it is actual value of the item immediately before the loss. In simple words, all partial losses in all operational engineering policies are settled in full without depreciation. All total losses in all engineering operation policies settled on market value basis. But when you settle a repair basis claim, if there is a limited life part, then depreciation is to be applied. So if you can identify certain parts which are continuously on wear and tear, it is having limited life, then you can apply depreciation. If you are not able to do that, then depreciation is not applicable. For example, a bearing, it is continuously wearing part. Another example is our old picture tube of CRT tube or X-ray tube of an X-ray machine. These are all having limited life. In some machines, the manufacturer himself will specify the life of the part. After that life, you have to change it. For just a crude example is the tire of a motor vehicle. Motor vehicle or a car will last for 15 years, whereas the tire will last for 2 years or 3 years, depending on the kilometers. So the tire is a limited life. A simple logic is if life of the part is less than the life of the equipment, then it is a limited life part. If you are able to prove that life of the part is less than the life of the equipment, then it is limited life part. A tube is limited life compared to tube light. If you see philosophically, everything is limited life. Human beings are also having limited life. So all part are having only limited life. So here the meaning is different. Here the meaning is if the life of the part is lesser than the life of the equipment, then it is limited life. So if you are able to prove it, you can apply depreciation. If you are not able to prove it, then depreciation cannot be applied. So most of the surveyors make huge mistakes in settlement of MBD claims at this point. They will tend to apply depreciation each and every part. That is not the case. Now coming to total loss, if the entire property is damaged and replaced with a new property, then it is on market value basis. There is a decline list of machines because these machines are of high risk for breakdown. Stone crushers, rolling mill, PVC lined or rubber lined vessels, TV set, electrical, electronic machines, instruments, any imported machinery, cupolas and oil-fired furnaces, pumps with glass, graphite, rubber emballage, pipelines, computers and other electronic equipment, portable and mobile equipment, urea scrubber, ammonia storage tank. This is only for exam. Practically, you may be underwriting all these things with the different premiums. Now, going to the second policy, it follows, as I told you, it follows the same pattern. The difference is in coverage. Electronic equipment insurance is normally given to electronic equipment such as computer, medical equipment, telecommunication, satellite communication, research, audio visual equipments. The difference is this is an all risk policy covering everything except the listed exclusions in the policy. So it is having 3 sections. This is quite old tariff. Only one section is valid nowadays. Other 2 sections are obsolete. So first section is material damage. Section second, material damage covers the normal breakdown or damage to the equipment by any means. Fire, flood, storm, riot strike. All risks are covered except the exclusions. Even burglary is covered. Now second section is external data media. This is an optional covering replacement of the data media. This is not applicable nowadays because data media is so advanced that cost is very less. But if you want to cover huge hard disk where data is getting stored, you can do it. But only the media is covered. The backup data cost of backing up the data, cost of replacement of data is payable only when there is a backup data available. So if your system crashes due to hard disk problem, hard disk cost is payable, but the restoration of data, that cost is payable only if there's a backup data. If backup data is there, then the cost is negligible. It is a matter of copying the data. Nowadays, it is very fast and negligible cost. But reproduction of data, reconstruction of data will be very expensive. So that we are not paying. We are not covering under the policy. Third one is optional cover increased cost of working. For example, there are 10 computers in an office and there is a damage to 10 computers due to flood. I will try to continue my operations by taking 5 computers on rent. So that rent is payable. That is increased cost of working. Other personal expenses related to that and cost for transportation, all this can be covered. But nowadays, again, this is an obsolete cover. So coverage is all risk. Just for understanding, fire, lightning, EQ is an add-on cover. Short circuit, power voltage, flood, breakdown, burglary, theft, impact, everything is covered. We are charging additional premium nowadays for STFI and EQ. What is excluded is normal wear and tear, corrosion, faults or defect existing at the time of commencement of insurance. Again, design defect is automatically covered. If it is known to the insured, then it is not covered. Failure of any gas, water, aesthetic defects such as scratches on painting, polished surfaces. And then that exclusion coming under MBD, loss to bulb, valve, belt, tires, tubes. You can see that MBD exclusion. Belt, rope, chain, rubber tire, dies, molds, blades, cutter, knives. These exclusions there in EA also. Sum insured should be the same like MBD, current new replacement value. Increase or decrease of sum insured is on short period scale. premium rating depends on the type of electronic equipment. Earlier, if there is a maintenance warranty, AMC, if it is there, then there was a discount. Basis of indemnity is same, partial loss, reinstatement value basis, total loss, market value basis. Now coming to the third policy, BPP or boiler pressure plant insurance. Here a boiler, the definition of boiler means boilers. It includes boiler, economizers, superheater, steam pipe, pressure vessel, other vessel under steam, gas or air pressure. So any vessel which is under a pressure above the atmospheric pressure, our atmospheric pressure, where water is converted to steam, or the associated vessels, associated equipments, economizer, where the temperature, heat of the steam is used for some other purpose, or superheaters, where the steam is further heated to get more efficiency in its action, and steam pipes, all the pipelines, or any pressure vessel. In normal, other than the boiler, there can be vessels where the materials are under pressure. So those vessels also can be insured. So this policy is not only for boiler, but any pressure plant can be covered. What is covered? It is only a limited peril policy, explosion or collapse of boiler. And surrounding property of insured. It is an optional cover. TPL, third party liability, is an optional cover. If you remember correctly, under SFSP policy, when there is an explosion, damage to boiler is not covered, but all surrounding property damage is covered. So that boiler can be covered under boiler pressure plant policy. Surrounding property coverage is again an overlap of fire policy, but sometimes the owner of the boiler may be responsible to compensate the surrounding property damage also, which may not be owned by him. So if he want to take a cover, he can take a cover. So boiler means any fired closed vessel or a combined container piping system in which steam is generated. Pressure plant means any unfired closed container under steam, gas or fluid pressure. And explosion shall mean sudden, violent rending or tearing a part of the permanent structure of a boiler or pressure plant, or any parts thereof by force of internal steam, gas or fluid pressure, causing bodily displacement of the said structure and accompanied by the forcible ejection of its contents. So there can be explosion or implosion. Explosion happens whenever the pressure inside the vessel is more than the atmospheric pressure. Implosion happens maybe due to vacuum created inside the vessel. So collapse means sudden dangerous distortion of any part of boiler or pressure plant by bending or crushing caused by steam, gas or fluid pressure. Now there is another type of explosion which is known as flue gas explosion. So after combustion inside the combustion chamber of a boiler, the gases will be transported, or it will be moved to the atmosphere with the help of pipes. So sometimes due to accumulation of the fuel or charge, there can be explosion inside those pipelines. So those explosions are known as flue gas explosion. Explosion of ignited gases in the furnace or flues of the boiler, economizers and superheaters. If powdered coal is used as the fuel, sometimes this gas which is escaping, or the combustion products which is going to the atmosphere, it will carry powder of coal also. And this powder will get deposited on the surface of the or inner surface of the pipeline, or the powder may be in suspended form in pipeline. So when it reaches a particular temperature, it auto ignites, and then sudden expansion of combustion products. It can create an explosion in flue gas pipelines. So it is known as flue gas explosion. It is also covered under boiler pressure plant policy. Chemical explosion is an exclusion under boiler pressure plant policy. So in the case of a pressure plant is covered under BPP if it is treated as a chemical explosion, reaction of two chemicals leading to an explosion, then it is excluded under BPP. It is covered under fire policy. So whatever excluded under here, it is covered under fire policy. So these are the standard exclusions. Now the boiler can be of different size. As per Boiler Act 1923, definition of boiler is it should have a minimum volume of 25 liter. So if the volume of the boiler is less than 25 liter, then it is not coming under the Boilers Act. If it is not coming under the Boilers Act, then this BPP policy is not mandatory. You can take a policy, but it is not mandatory. If it is coming under Boilers Act, then BPP policy is mandatory. Inspection by a boiler inspectorate is mandatory. You should inspect every year and give a certificate. And the person who is operating the boiler should have valid license. So these two conditions to be satisfied before issuing a boiler pressure plant policy. One, the employee who is operating the boiler should have a valid certificate. Then boiler itself should be certified by boiler inspectorate. In India, it is done on annual basis. So exclusions are fire, allied perils, impact with vehicles, failure of individual tubes. See, boiler actually converts water into steam. So water normally passes through the tubes, water tubes, and then heat is provided from outside. It is known as a water tube boiler. Or in some cases, the hot combustion products are passed through tubes, and these tubes are immersed in water. So the hot gas will pass through tubes. It is known as fire tube boiler. In both the cases, there can be tube punctures or a rupture of the tube can happen. If rupture of the tube leads to explosion of the boiler, then it is covered. If only rupture of the tubes, failure of the tubes, then it is not covered under the policy. Then a chemical explosion is not covered. Now there is one point here. Boilers are of different types. I was talking about fire tube boiler, water tube boiler. There is another boiler is known as waste heat recovery boiler. Rate also varies with the type of boiler. Waste heat recovery boiler. In the case of paper industry, after that pulping process, which is known as kraft pulping process, there is a byproduct coming out which is known as black liquor. This black liquor is used as a fuel in boilers. So when black liquor is used as a fuel, there can be explosion, which is known as smelt water reaction. That means this black liquor, it is a mixture of many items, including a chemical in wood. I think it is known as lignin also. So it can lead to an explosion like when it is in contact with water. When water droplets are accidentally dropping onto the combustion chamber, then there can be a sudden increase of vapor pressure, and this will create an explosion. So these type of explosions normally happens in waste heat recovery boiler. It is not treated as a chemical explosion. It is known as smelt water reaction, which is covered under the policy. Wear and tear is exclusion, overloading experiment, gradually developing flows, liability assumed by the insured by agreement. Excess is also there. So sum insured should be CNRV, increase or decrease on short period scale. Policy can be annual or short period. Premium rate depends on the boiler. Escalation cover, earlier it was not available, but Tariff Advisory Committee has with the circular they have included it. So escalation is there up to 25%. All operational policies it is limited to 25%. Standstill discount is also available up to 50%. Minimum period is 3 months. So this I was talking about 2 R&Ds, annually inspected by inspectors, operated by attendants holding a valid certificate of competency. There are many add-on covers like any other policy: escalation, express freight, air freight, owner surrounding property, TP liability, additional customs duty, etc. So basis of indemnity follows the same method: partial loss, RIV basis, and then total loss on market value basis. One more policy available in operational phase is CPM, contractors, plant and machinery. Various mobile equipments are used in a project site to carry out the project. So these are known as contractors, plant and machinery. Though the name is contractors, plant and machinery, it need not be owned by the contractor. It can be owned by the principal contractor or subcontractor. Please understand that the machines, mostly mobile machines, which are used in project site to carry out the projects. And CPM can be covered on a floater basis also, like pile driving equipments, excavators, road rollers, compressors, equipments which are used in the project site. So CPM policy can be issued on a equipment basis or on a particular location where it is project is carried out, or if the equipment changes its location from one project site to another project site, then it can be covered on an all India basis, all locations. Then a floater extra is charged. But the transit between location is not covered under the policy. So in a CPM policy, when floater cover is taken, you have to mention only the zone, which EQ zone, because CPM rate, EQ is also covered under CPM. CPM is an old risk policy. Everything is covered. So earthquake is also like an add-on cover if we are giving. Then zone wise equipment sum insured should be there. If you are covering only one zone, for example, zone 4, then it can float in any location. So location need not be specified in the policy. It can be anywhere. Why location need not be specified in the policy? Because CPM rate depends on the machine. It does not depend on where it is used. Whereas a fire policy, if a turbo generator set is installed in a sugar plant, it will attract sugar rate. If it is installed in a textile mill, it will attract textile mill rate. Whereas a CPM policy, the premium rate depends on the type of equipment. It does not depend on the type of use, where it is used. Of course, the EQ rate changes with the zone. So zone by sum insured should be available in the policy. Now, sometimes CPM will be mounted on floating vessel or craft. In that case, it can be covered, but of course, we normally charge extra premium because it is mounted on a craft and it will be always on water. But that craft or vessel cannot be covered under CPM. Only that machine which is mounted on the craft can be covered. As I told you, it is all risk. That is why the word is physical loss or damage. So burglary is covered, theft is covered, fire is covered, RSMD is covered, STFI, EQ normally we give us an add-on cover. Any accidental damage, any collision, any impact, it is covered. What are the exclusions? All breakdowns are excluded. So electrical, mechanical breakdowns are excluded. Consumables, replaceable parts like wear and tear items are excluded. Then explosion. Only internal explosions are excluded. Normally a CPM machine will explode due to centrifugal forces. So it comes under MBD. So it is an exclusion. But externally, if some explosion happens, then it is payable. Vehicles, sometimes that CPM equipment is used as a vehicle also. It is roadworthy and there will be a registration number. So then it can be covered under motor policy also. It can be covered under CPM policy also. But the CPM cover will be available only during the construction phase. If it is on the road, CPM policy will not be there. But CPM policy is an old risk policy, so everything is covered, including overturning. Whereas in a motor policy, if you want to cover overturning of that equipment, then we may have to charge extra premium. Underground CPM machine, it is an exclusion under the policy, but you can buy back that exclusion by payment of additional premium. It is known as exclusion K, underground machine. Then transit within the project site is covered under the policy, but once you do a transit outside the project location, it is excluded. And loss or damage due to abandonment of any plant or machinery working in underground mines or tunnels. Sometimes after the loss, it may not be possible to recover the machine as such. It is underground, or the cost of recovery will be more than the machine itself. So there's a tendency to do the abandonment. So this abandonment is not allowed under CPM policy. Payloaders on barges. Earlier we were talking about CPM vessels installed on craft or vessel. It is CPM can be covered. But if this a payloader is a specific machine, if it is installed on a barge, then it cannot be covered under CPM policy. Next, loss or damage due to total or partial immersion in tidal waters. So when a CPM equipment is used near the coastal area or on a vessel or craft, tidal water is a normal phenomenon. It is not an accidental damage. If it is used near to sea, you can expect tidal water any moment of time. So that is an expected peril. It is not unforeseen or accidental. So any damage due to tidal water is not payable. That does not mean that if the CPM is overturned and then it has gone to sea, then it is damaged by only tidal water. It is not payable. It is payable because it is accident has already happened. It has overturned into water. Whereas damage is only by high tide water, then it is not acceptable. So sum insured follow the same logic. CNRV, increase or decrease on short period. Premium rate depends on the category of CPM. It can be annual or short period policy. There can be multiple add-on covers. We have seen already TPL, surrounding property, clearance and removal of debris, express freight, air freight, ACD, underground machines. You can buy back, dismantling of CPM equipment and shifting to a new location. If the CPM is to be taken to other location after dismantling and then reassembled at the new location, dismantling is covered. Reassembly at the new location is also covered. Transit between locations is not covered. Basis of indemnity same, partial loss, reinstatement basis, total loss, market value basis. So we have completed all the operational policies. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we will move on to EOS.
Sandeep sir, one doubt.
Yeah.
That abandonment, is it covered if the exclusion K is removed by way of additional premium?
No. See, I am talking about only tariff. Huh? Nowadays, we are giving anything,
No, we see
everything.
a lot of projects where because of tunnel failure, machines have to be abandoned, right?
No, you are asking a practical question. Nowadays, everything, anything we are covering with additional premium. I am talking about only tariff and exam. We can cover, nothing wrong. We can charge some additional premium and cover if you want. But
Okay.
as per tariff, it is an exclusion. We are now restricting to exam.
And so any like specific logic for the difference in escalation that limit up that 25% limit and 5% limit for project and operational policies?
Yeah, I thought I have already given that. In operational policy, it is only 1 year policy. So 25% is more than enough. Whereas project policy can go up to 10 years. So when you are selecting at inception of the policy, unless you give that 50%, it cannot take care of the fluctuations or inflation. So since it's a long term, we are giving like that.
Okay.
Good morning, Sandeep sir.
Yeah.
Sir, overturning is inbuilt cover in this CPM, sir.
Overturning is automatically covered. Yes.
Sir,
It's
if
an old risk
overturning is,
policy.
if it is automatically covered, then in motor policy, we are also talking about overturning risk by paying additional premium. And while this machine is on road, so in such case, which policy will trigger first for the claim of overturning? When both have means it is covered by CPM also, covered by motor also.
You mean to tell one machine is covered under motor policy and then overturning is covered in that policy, and then you have
Yes,
given
sir.
a CPM policy also.
Yes, sir.
There is no rules, but in my opinion, CPM policy you will have to pay first. Because it is when it is used under construction site.
Okay, at
Not on the
construction
road.
CPM.
On the road, motor policy will respond.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Sir, in
Any
IC
other question?
77
Any other question?
yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, please.
Sir, in IC 77 book, it is saying that there is no excess in boiler and pressure plant policy. Is it right, sir?
There is no excess in?
Boiler and pressure plant policy.
No, that is modified. That is modified. Excess is there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir,
So
all
shall
the
we move
excesses
on?
are as per the circular of 2011 only.
Yes, correct. See, when the questions are being set, if the circular is applicable for all companies, then naturally that will come into effect. If circular is applicable to only one company, they will ignore that fact. If it is applicable to all companies, definitely they will take into account. So shall we move on? Any other questions?
So the basis of settlement difference in project policy and operational policy.
Operational policy, partial loss on RIV, total loss on market value. Same thing in project policy, but practically, even if it is total loss, you cannot apply depreciation because that is not put into use. But it does not mean that you cannot apply depreciation in all cases. For example, temporary workers shed is covered under a car policy as a separate item. So in that case, if the shed is damaged, definitely you can apply depreciation and settle on market value because it's an old shed. But theoretically, for project materials, we will be paying the full amount. Okay, then we will move on. So deterioration of stock insurance. This policy follows the normal MBD policy where we are covering a cold storage. So if MBD policy covers the cold storage machinery or refrigerating machinery, and if that machine is damaged by any accidental physical damage, a breakdown, then definitely the stock inside the cold storage may be affected by decay. The temperature will rise and the stock can be decayed. So cold storage policy like deterioration of stock policy covers that stock. MBD policy covers the machine. Deterioration of stock policy covers the stock. So stock can be potatoes and other than potatoes. Even I don't know why there is difference between only potato and other than potato, but tariff is like that. So what we are covering is damage to stock due to rise in temperature resulting from only one peril, resulting from breakdown of refrigeration plant under MBD. So if the refrigeration plant is damaged by flood or it is damaged by fire, if it is damaged by storm, then this policy will not respond. There the coverage can be taken in deterioration of stock policy B under as an add-on cover under SFSP. So here what we are covering the stock decay due to breakdown of the refrigerating plant. So there should be an MBD policy in place. A claim should be admissible under MBD policy. Then only claim is payable or admissible under DOS here. Escape of refrigerant in the refrigerated chamber as a direct result of damage to machinery and plant. Sometimes that refrigerant is a medium used for cooling. That refrigerant itself will escape due to any damage. Then decay will happen. Cover for deterioration of stock due to breakdown in the standby DG set can be granted to those cold storage which have opted for the force extension. So normally this cold storage connected to grid supply, it will have a DG set backup. So there is an extension under the policy. There are two extensions rather. One is force extension, another one is standby DG set extension. So if a cold storage which is having a normal grid supply, which is having a standby DG set, if the grid supply is not there, in that case we can issue these covers, force and standby DG set add-on cover. That means if there is no electric supply and the refrigerating machine will stop because of that and decay happens, it is payable under force extension. But of course, since standby DG set is there, that scenario will not arise. Similarly, we can give a cover for standby DG set if something happens, then but force should be there, force extension should be there. So dose cover with the force extension cannot be given to a cold storage which does not have standby DG sets or oil engine coupled to compressors. So MBD and DOS policies must be with the one office only. So force extension is a risky extension. That is why we stipulate that there should be a standby DG set. But then there can be a scenario where electricity is not there, DG set is also not working, then decay will happen. So that we will cover. There is a policy of declaration where minimum policy period is 7 months. Declaration of stock, maybe it can be given. In that case, policy period is 12 months. Value of stock should be more than 50 lakhs. An insured shall submit fortnightly declarations. Maximum refund allowed is 50%. So normal policy period minimum is 7 months, but a declaration policy period is 12 months. And value of stock should be more than 50 lakhs and the insured should give fortnightly declarations. So based on like fire declaration policy, we can give a refund maximum 50%. Excess applicable is if the cold storage is opted for force extension, 20% of the claim amount, subject to minimum of 20,000. Without force extension, 10% of the claim amount, subject to minimum of 20,000. So if it is having a force extension, then the time excess is 8 hours. So these are the exclusions, fire and allied perils, AOG peril. As I told you, only breakdown of refrigerating plant is covered. Collapse of building. See, sometimes the rack where the stock is stored inside the cold storage can collapse. This rack structure collapse is a regular phenomena in cold storages. So it is not covered under machinery breakdown risk and therefore it is an exclusion under DOS policy. Sometimes this rack structure collapse can lead to a machinery damage. Then the decay of stock is covered. If it is only rack structure collapse, there is no other damage. Because of the collapse, stock is damaged, then it is not payable under DOS extension. But if rack structure collapse lead to any damage in the machinery and then the stock starts decaying, then that is covered under the policy. So any damage to the stock, if the refrigeration plant is stopped for less than 24 hours following an accident to the refrigeration plant and machinery, then it is not covered. So 24 hours, a cold storage supposed to withstand that cold condition. Similarly, the temperature should rise above 4.4 degree. Up to that, no claim is admissible. What is the sum insured? It's a market value policy. Sum insured should be the maximum storage capacity into average price of the product or commodity. If it is potatoes, then average price of the potato at the time of loading as determined by the insured with the concurrence of the company at the time the insurance has come into effect. The price shall include storage charges for the whole season. So it depends on the price of the potato at the time of loading into the chamber into the maximum storage capacity. There should be a maintenance contract in place. Log books should be maintained. These are the warranties applicable for deterioration of stock. So basis of indemnity is market value of the commodity immediately before the accident. So market value can be more than what was there at the inception, or it can be less. So if market value is more, then we will have to limit to the value at the time of taking the policy, or it becomes under insurance. Now coming to the last policy, which is a consequential loss policy for breakdown. So a machinery breakdown policy or an electronic equipment policy or a boiler pressure plant policy should be in place. Then if there is a damage to machinery or a boiler or an electronic equipment leading to a gross profit loss can be covered under machinery loss of profit. So policy covers business interruption losses consequent upon material damage as defined in the respective policies. Policy provides indemnity against loss of net profit, insured standing charges, and increased cost of working. Net profit plus standing charges is known as GP and increased cost of working. This is in the lines with the same fire LOP. But in fire LOP, we are covering the entire plant or entire assets. But here the insured can choose the machinery and take LOP. He need not cover the entire plant. So premium rating depends on type of machine and its age, criticality of the machine, percentage contribution to GP. If there are two machines, identical machine, having 50% turnover, then the contribution is less. So if MLOP policy is taken for only one machine, then chances of GP loss is less. So availability of spares, number of shifts, indemnity period, and claim history. So here the only difference is the insured can choose the machine and do it. Earlier the rates were so high, so there were so many premium rating factors. But nowadays it has been made into very simple 1 per milli rate. So nobody is opting any machinery. Everywhere, everybody is taking for the entire plant. So total GP sum insured will be declared for whole plant. Anything happens in any of the machine leading to a GP loss, then claim is admissible. So any questions you can ask.
Sir, in operational policies, like reinstatement of sum insured will be from the date of claim or from the date the this broiler or something have been reinstated, from that date it will be. Any difference is there?
In a fire policy, reinstatement premium is collected from the date of loss till the date of expiry. Whereas
Correct,
if you
sir.
take an MBD policy covers only breakdown of the equipment. So once equipment is broken down, then it cannot be affected by any other period till it is repaired. So the reinstatement premium is collected from the date of reinstatement to the date of expiry. All other policies, it is from date of loss to the date of expiry. In fire policy, though the material is damaged, maybe a part of the material is damaged by flood, still it can be damaged by fire because that asset still exists there. But as far as a machine is concerned, a motor is concerned, a motor is damaged, breakdown happened, it has gone for repair. So it cannot be further damaged by breakdown. So till it is repaired and reinstated, there is no point in collecting the premium. So premium will be collected from the date of reinstatement of the machinery.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Sir, any additions or deletions is in a short period collection like other policies
In
on
all
period
engineering policies are in short period basis, addition or deletion, increase or decrease in sum insured on short period basis.
Okay, thank you.
Shall we wind up?
Sir, delay in startup insurance regarding that, sir.
So we were discussing about MLOP and ALOP, advanced loss of profit, where a project is getting delayed due to any accident at the project site. Similarly, if an MCA policy is taken, that means marine part is also covered. And if there is a damage during the marine transit, a machine is getting imported and there is a damage, that means you will have to reorder the machine and again the transportation should happen again. So that delay, because of that delay, even the project cannot start. That is why that name, delay in startup. And this delay can cause a GP loss after commissioning. A commissioning date will be extended because of those delays. So because of that extension, to that extent, you will lose the production, you will lose the or turnover, you will lose the GP. So delay in startup is nothing an extension of marine correction policy, where the damage is happening during the marine leg and it causes a delay in starting of the project and it delays the commissioning date and a GP loss.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, are there any special conditions in case of MBD of turbines, sir?
No. Come again.
Machinery policy of turbines, any other special conditions are there, sir, for the coverage to be started like?
No, in turbine, normally in MBD policy, there are some special conditions of what do you call maintenance of the turbine. After 24,000 hours or 32,000 hours, it should be overhauled. Otherwise, additional excess will be applicable. So those cases, those conditions were there in the original tariff, but nowadays nobody is attaching those conditions. That is why I left it. Practically, it is not there, but theoretically in the tariff, it is there.
So from exam point of view, shall we remember that? That is confusing actually, sir.
I don't think. Anyway, you can refer to MBD tariff. Though you have attended the class, I recommend you to go through the tariff at least 1 or 2 times.
Okay, sir.
Sir, there is one question from fire.
Fire, okay.
Sir, the transfer one is damaged by the lightning and due to which fire is generated, and the fire damaged the surrounding property and the transfer one number 2. Sir, how will the claim will be payable?
Lightning happened on the transformer.
1. Yes, sir.
and then fire spread to other machines.
Yes, sir.
It is payable. Everything is payable under fire policy.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, then. Thank you. We'll wind it up. Balaji.
Okay, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Best of luck for the exam. Anyway, questions will be very simple. Don't worry.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.